What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Labrynth deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is one of the best decks to play this format, because you can control the board with all sorts of extremely powerful trap cards. I've included some spicy text in this build for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. This card is a definite 2-0 in the deck that has a great ability that while you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, making this card extremely hard to deal with when you have it on your side of the field and you control face down cards. It also has the ability if a Labrynth card or effect or a normal trap card is activated this turn, except a copy of this card, then quick effect you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, making it super easy to get on your side of the field. And when a normal trap card is activated, quick effect you can set a normal trap card with a different name directly from your deck, which is a great effect for this card to have, making it so that you can play a bunch of one-of traps in this deck that this card can get to, because this card is so easy to put on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of lovely Labrynth of the Silver Castle. This card is an awesome boss monster as well, but you really only need a single copy of her in this build. She's an extremely powerful card, but usually you're sending out your copy of Lady Labrynth over this card, but this card helps you in games, which is why we're playing this card as a one-of. It has the ability that your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to activation of your normal trap cards, and you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn, that you can target a normal trap in the graveyard and set it back to your side of the field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fiend monster, which you will with this card on the field. And if another monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect, you can actually destroy one card that your opponent's in your opponent's hand at random or their side of the field, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card, giving you more value from your traps. We then play 3 copies of Ariana, the Labrynth Servant. This card is a great normal summon in the deck and helps out a lot in this build, because if it's normal or special summon, you can add a Labrynth card from your deck to your hand, essentially being the Stratos of the deck, which I really love that effect about this card, and it helps so much in this particular build. And if another monster leaves the field because of a normal trap effect, you can actually draw a card, then you can apply the ability that from your hand either special summon a fiend monster or set a spell or trap, which is a really good effect to be able to follow up with that draw, because then you can just set a spell or trap to your side of the field so you can activate it during your follow-up turn. We then play 3 copies of Stovey Torby. Stovey Torby is amazing in this deck because it is a level 2 monster, making it super easy so you can go in for your copy of Chaos Angel, because Chaos Angel doesn't actually require a tuner. You can just use a level 8 plus your copy of Stovey Torby to go into Chaos Angel, and then back it up with all sorts of different trap cards, which is amazing. But this card also has a great ability that quick effect you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard a card to set a Labrynth spell or trap from your deck or hand or deck to your side of the field. And if a monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect while this card's in the graveyard, you can actually special summon this card, making it super easy to get this card on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Shanda Draglier. This card is really good as a 3-of as well, but I really like Stovey Torby a little bit better because it is a level 2, making it easier to go in for Chaos Angel, but this card is still a great 3-of in the build. The quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard a card to set a Labrynth spell or trap from your hand or deck to your side of the field. And if a monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect while this card's in the graveyard, you can add this card back to your hand, making this card a recyclable resource, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of Kuklok. Kuklok is just a really good one-of in this deck, which is why we play it. It's super easy to get to in this deck, and it's a definite one-of in the build to help you go in for game. This card is amazing and just really good as a one-of. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3-of in the deck, just to stop your opponent from touching the deck, because it's one of the best hand traps in the entire game. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Labrynth. This card is super easy to get to, which is why we just play this card as a one-of in the build. But if you activate a set Welcome Labrynth normal card, then you can actually add the additional effect to it that also you can destroy one card on the field, which is a really good effect to be able to use. And if you activate a non-Labrynth normal trap card, except during the damage step, you can special summon a fiend monster from your hand or graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use, especially with your copies of your Stovey Torby and Shanda Draglier, which is just amazing. And you can even recycle your boss monsters with this card and get them back on the field. This card is amazing as a one-of in the build, but you only need a single copy of it because we can get to it so easily. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance is really good in trap decks, especially for trap decks that don't really need their extract, just to help you dig into the deck. You can play Pot of Prosperity, but this is a much more budget option, and I really like playing Extravagance over Prosperity in this build, because it helps you get more trap cards to your hand, so you can set more back row and give you more options, which is really good. Where Pot of Prosperity is going to let you reveal the cards that you're going to be grabbing, so your opponent kind of knows what's coming, where this card is just going to let you draw 2, so your opponent doesn't know what's coming, which is just really good. I love that about trap decks, and it's why I like Extravagance over Prosperity in this build. So that's it for these spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a lot of trap cards in this build. So let's go ahead and start off with one of the most powerful trap cards in the entire game. And actually, my favorite trap card in the game, and that's going to be a single copy of Eradicator Epidemic. You only need a single copy of this card. This card ends games on its own and is just absolutely crazy. You tribute a dark monster with 2,500 or more attack. You pick either spells or traps, and then you look at your opponent's hand and all spells and traps that they control and all cards they draw until the end of the 3rd turn after this activation, and destroy all cards of that type that you picked, which is amazing to be able to use in a lot of matchups right now to just deal with all your opponent's cards. This card ends games if it resolves, and it's just absolutely crazy. This card is definitely a one-of in the deck because you can get to it extremely easily in this build, and it's just one of the most powerful cards in the deck. We then play a single copy of Compulse. Compulse is amazing because it bounces a monster off the field, which is just really good. 1 copy of Terrors of the Underroot. This card is just amazing as a one-of in the build. It lets you target 1 card that your opponent controls and 1 card in their graveyard and send that card on the field to the grave, and if you do, set the other card from the graveyard to your opponent's field, letting you switch out cards that your opponent might need on their side of the field and in the graveyard, which is just really, really good. We then play 2 copies of Dogmatica Punishment. Dogmatica Punishment is great as a 2-of in the deck because this card helps you pop monsters on the field, and we don't really need the extract all that much, so it's not that big of a deal to lock us out of the extract with this particular build after we summon out our copy of Chaos Angel. But this card can also turn into a multitude of different bonus effects depending on what you send to the graveyard off this effect. For example, if you send a copy of Elder Entity Nist off of this, you're going to get an additional pop off this card, or if you send, say, a Garua, you're going to get an additional draw, which is really good. We then play 3 copies of Welcome Labrynth. Welcome Labrynth is definitely a 3-of in the deck, and this card is an extremely powerful trap card. It lets you special summon a Labrynth monster from your deck. Also, until the end of the next turn after this effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extract or deck except fiend monsters, which is not that big of a deal because that's usually all we're summoning anyways. And if a monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect, while this card's in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can set this card back to your side of the field, making this card just be able to recycle itself infinitely, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Big Welcome Labrynth. This card is a crazy powerful trap card and a definite 3-of that lets you special summon a Labrynth monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then you return 1 monster that you control back to your hand. You can also banish this card from the grave and then target a fiend monster that you control, or if you control a level 8 or higher fiend type monster, you can actually target 1 card your opponent controls instead and return that card back to the hand, which is amazing to be able to put one of your lovely ladies on your side of the field or your silver castle on your side of the field to be able to bounce cards with this card. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This card is a great hand trap in the deck, and it's just a really good trap card overall right now to be able to stop your opponent's monster effects. We then play 3 copies of Skill Drain. Skill Drain is really good in this deck, and it helps out a lot in this particular build, because this card is going to help you out so much, because we don't need our monster effects that much. We're very reliant on trap cards in this build, and this card can completely shut down strategies that your opponent might have. So this card is really amazing in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Strike. If our opponent tries to summon anything that's bigger than our copy of Chaos Angel or one of our ladies in the main deck, we can just strike it, which is just really cool, and I love that about this card. This card is an extremely powerful 3-up, stops monster effects, stops special summons by just paying 1500 life points, and it's a definite 3-up in the build. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a lot of 2s and 3s in this extra deck, because we are playing Pot of Extravagance in the main deck, and these are just the best options that you can play in the extra deck. So we're going to start off with 3 copies of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is insane in this deck, and is a definite 3-of if you're going to be playing Extravagance, because this card is just so easy to put on your side of the field. It requires a tuner plus a non-tuner light or dark monster to make this card, but it has a special effect that you can use a light or dark monster as if it were a tuner on your side of the field to summon out this card, making it so you don't even have to play a tuner in the deck. Which this card is super easy to make with Stovey Torby and a level 8 monster in the deck, which is just really cool. I love that about this card, and it also has a really great effect that if you put dark monsters in it, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, which is crazy powerful to be able to combo with our Lady Labrynth, because she cannot be destroyed by card effects and cannot be targeted, making her basically invincible, which is just absolutely crazy. This card is amazing as well, because when it's summoned to your side of the field, you get to banish a card as well, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of the Golden Cloud Beast. This is actually a Dogmatic Punishment target, which is just really good, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually target one face-up card your opponent controls and return it back to the hand, which is a pretty good effect. We then play 2 copies of Elder Insignis. This is also a Dogmatic Punishment target. If it touches the graveyard, you can actually pop a card on the field. We play 2 copies of Garua. If this card touches the graveyard, you get to draw a card. And then we play a single copy of Baguska. Baguska is a card we actually do summon in the deck, and it is a Fiend monster. So when we do Fiend lock ourselves, we can still summon this card to our side of the field, which is just really, really nice. This card helps you lock down the opponent. It is a little bit rare to summon this card to your side of the field, because you don't play that many level 4s, but it is a really good option. We then play 2 copies of the Tri-Brigade Arms. This card is in the deck in case you need a 3,500 attack point monster to send off your copy of your Dogmatic Punishment. Plus, if you send this card to the graveyard, you then get to send Garua, so you still get the draw, which is really nice. But this is usually what I send to the graveyard off the effect of the Dogmatic Punishment, unless I've activated Extravagance that turn, so I can't draw. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix. This card is a fiend, so he can pop spells and traps on the field. We play 2 copies of Mudracker. Mudracker is just really good in the deck, because it's basically walking Monster Reborn. And then we play a single copy of Lingeribo. Lingeribo is just in case they try and Ibly lock us, and this card is just really good in the deck. It's one of the only non-fiend monsters that we play in the deck that we're actually going to summon, and it's just for a really good option to summon out first if our opponent attempts to Ibly lock us. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Labrynth before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's one of the most powerful decks this format. It's absolutely crazy now that we have Chaos Angel, and it's super fun to be able to play to just lock down boards. This deck is amazing and very, very fun to play. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.